Welcome to Wrestling is Fiction, Episode 4. I'm Zach Hannigan with my partner, Darkstar Shady, and we got a lot to cover. Let's get into it.
All right, now that we've got the intros out of the way, it's me, Darkstar Shady, aka Steven. Time to give a little shout out to our sponsors who are keeping our bills paid this week. First up is Gengar's TCG shop on TikTok. He sells Pokemon cards by the pack and by the booster box. He also has a link to sell individual cards. Other than that, I'm also partnered with a company called W. They do gaming energy drinks. If you use code DARKSTAR10 on their website, w.gg, you can get 10% off your orders.
So, big episode of wrestling in the great country of France. We had our WWE 2024 Backlash. First thoughts, Steven? What you think of it? What you think of the card, the crowd, everything?
Obviously the crowd was incredible. I don't think America deserves another show. It was such a big whiplash going from Backlash to Raw in Connecticut.
Yeah, kind of I don't think the Connecticut crowd was really that bad, but
No,
France set a standard, I guess.
yeah, it's not that they were bad. It's just that they didn't have as much energy. They didn't. I don't know. The thing is Backlash was what 11,000 people.
Yeah, it wasn't
Something
that
like
many
that.
people to be that
Yeah,
loud.
yeah. That's about as many people as were at both the Smackdown and the Raw I went to live, and the crowds I was at, just no comparison at all. They felt like they weren't even there compared to France. I did think that the show should have had probably one more match in there. I think just doesn't even matter what, just one more match to really round it out. I feel like for a premium event, I get they're trying to do some longer matches and really showcase their big names, but I feel like there are so many other people that could have been on that card. The tag team match could have been Street Profits and A-Town Down Under on Backlash rather than the night before. They could have had a Logan Paul promo, just something else in that card to just fill it out a little more.
Yeah, I agree. The matches were very long, but what a great start to the show. I mean, that Randy Orton KO and Bloodline match was great. And, the whole time you're thinking about it, you're like, I don't know why there's no stipulation. Why isn't this a street fight? And then, lo and behold, it is. Kind of the way, really, you wrote it when we did our episode of Backlash, how KO kind of just snaps and immediately starts attacking the Bloodline.
Yeah, they obviously drew it out a lot longer than I did and made it that no DQ street fight that really gave a lot more impact there. But it was the same thing. It was just Randy and KO kind of just went straight at him. Their anger boiled up. They finally snapped a little bit, and
they were
in
beating
for a
the
bigger
hell
fight
out of the Bloodline too. I mean,
Yeah,
I thought that match was going to end with the Bloodline not doing anything to them, but obviously
yeah,
we felt like, I think overall the card probably went how everyone expected as far as the outcomes of matches. I don't think anyone's surprised the women's tag titles were dropped, and I wish the name Backlash kind of infers that somebody's going to get some revenge after what happened at WrestleMania, and you just really didn't get that. And I mean, I understand that new champions, you don't want them to drop that quickly, but I wish there was a little more surprise. I guess the Tongaloa and the Bloodline match was a surprise, but I think we were all kind of expecting someone new to come help out the Bloodline.
yeah. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. There wasn't any surprises. Not just that there wasn't surprises, but none of the WrestleMania events did really tie into it. There was no big rematch for a title. There was no feud carried over. Cody didn't interact with that Bloodline at all to even just have a tease of, hey, this is the title I took from you guys. What are you going to do about it, kind of thing.
Yeah, especially now that they're on the same show.
Yeah, I don't understand why like I know a few years ago, I guess there was some kind of promo where Vince may have said the rematch clause is going away for champions, but I just I feel like there should be some interaction there. There should be some kind of just spillover if it is literally still going to be called Backlash, because I think it used to be called specifically WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah, they need to. Um, I was talking to a friend about this the other day about bringing the surprise back to wrestling. Um, where like a title can drop on Raw to somebody new or SmackDown, and we're really waiting for these premium live events. And then I get the one after WrestleMania is probably hard to make less predictable, but you're just kind of stuck knowing what's going to happen. Um, I'm trying to think of all the winners. Yeah, I don't think one match surprised me. I think they all kind of went the way we thought.
Yeah, even with the title changing hands at Backlash and Jade and Bianca getting the tag titles, like that wasn't a surprise either. Like no
Well,
one expected
why isn't Sami Zayn defending his Intercontinental title at Backlash?
because they didn't have Bronson Reed ready yet to interfere.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I feel like the Gable rivalry had already started. They definitely could have just had a match.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have had a match. They could have had Bronson get involved in that match if they really wanted him there, since they always do. But no, they have Logan Paul, who's the U.S. champion, who claims to want to be a WWE superstar, but he still just shows up for the occasional promo and only the bigger events. Like, even if he had just done a video call into Backlash and called someone out in a promo, like even that would have given him more exposure and given the event more exposure for uh, their titles, for their champions, to a new audience with Logan Paul calling it out. Like, I know a lot of people at work that I work with that don't follow wrestling. They have been asking me about it because they see Logan Paul, they see I Show Speed, and they need to just utilize their talent a little bit more often, I think.
Yeah, that really did feel like a good spot for Logan there in Europe. He seems to really have a way of getting a reaction out of a crowd. Speaking of that crowd, I thought it was funny. Um, they had their "This is awesome" chant in French. Um, I don't. The one thing I'll say about the crowd, I don't think they get that that's reserved for specific moments.
I
They they were doing it throughout the whole match, right when they started, and I guess it was awesome for them. But that
yeah,
chant is
I
supposed to be earned.
yeah, I think that they were just happy to be there. They were happy to have that premium event, and I think I saw a few tweets and a few TikToks that were like, "Hey, I did we chant a lot? Yeah, but we paid thousands of dollars for these tickets. We're gonna yell as much as we want to." Um,
That they
they,
did.
I think they said that it was the highest gate for WWE, ticket wise, and with 11,000 people, that's some expensive tickets. Then I did hear that people were paying thousands of dollars for those seats for some of those nicer spots on the arena there.
Yeah, I don't think the WWE was hurting for money after that event.
No, and I think that they enjoyed the environment as well. Triple H supposedly got a text partway through Backlash before it was even ended, and it just said "Stadium Show." So it sounds like
Yeah,
they're considering going back. They like the environment. The crowd obviously loved them. Uh, I think the fact that even both sides of every match were getting some cheers, every wrestler kind of got the love there.
yeah. France definitely earned another show. Hopefully, a bigger show.
Yeah,
You know, better than these weird Saudi Arabian shows they keep doing. Um,
yeah. They keep doing with just whatever the biggest name they can pull for the event for the biggest title match they could have, just to make some extra cash, basically.
yeah. All right. I took a couple
Speaking of
notes
the
here on
speaking of the Saudi show,
Backlash.
though, did you see that Bailey is once again not on the cover for their poster?
They don't
Supposedly she
like
won't be at the
women there,
show.
man.
I'll say supposedly she won't be at the show, but they've got non-champions and everyone but her showing. Like, just throw her on a poster. Give her one poster.
Yeah, I don't. She was on the. She was on a poster recently. I thought. I don't know.
I think it was one of the Backlash posters that was
Yeah.
the her, Naomi, and Tiffany, but like put her up there with everyone else. She's your champion now. Just showcase her. Let her
No,
have her
I
moment.
hate Bailey. We don't hate Bailey. It
No,
seems the promotion does.
no. Give her her moment,
We're
please.
big Bailey fans at this podcast.
Yeah, we are.
All right,
But
so I took some notes here on Backlash.
okay.
One, I don't know if you saw this. I think I talked to you about it. Somebody had a sign that said "Make Doink the Clown heel again," uh,
I did see that.
which for a French crowd to even remember who that is amazing. I always love a good Doink shout out.
Yeah, no, I rewatched Backlash the night before last on my TV because the first time I watched it was on my phone. And middle of the match, I did see that big Doink sign. I will say my wife is a big Doink the Clown fan, and she tried to get me to draft him as one of my legends. I I was like I almost did in our WWE 2K24 gameplay. She has R-Truth and Doink as our tag team champions.
That's actually an amazing tag team.
It's pretty
What
scary,
about
honestly.
Hornswallow? We can't get him anymore, though.
Yeah, I think the last time I heard from him was right around WrestleMania. He was doing a karaoke event singing Nelly. Which, like, good for him. Good for him.
Yeah. All right.
Um
So I was thinking about this. Pound for pound in the women's division, maybe in all of WWE, pound for pound. I think Bianca and Jade might be the strongest. I mean, actually, like lift heavy things strong, not as in good. They are good.
yeah.
One of the strongest tag teams I can remember.
Yeah. Like as soon as they got the titles, I turned to Liz and I was like, I don't like I expected them to win, but I don't know who could even believably challenge them.
I could see a Zoe and Shayna type team looking strong enough to do it, but I mean, both of them, man.
Like
It's like they
like
just pick stuff
physically,
up with ease.
yeah, like physically I can see Zoe and Shayna competing, but in in universe they just haven't been booked to be as strong. Like they
No.
take the losses, they
Well,
show up for the
Shayna's
big
doing
moments.
something on NXT now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand immediately just how many people got that call up from NXT and they're still kind of down there and not just down in NXT, but they're kind of feeling like they're lower than some of the NXT roster even. Like if you watched any of the NXT Combine or anything, or even looked at the stats, Ivy Nile was in there, and she's like 12 out of 15 for the standings.
Yeah.
So she's main roster, but they're saying there's 12 people in NXT better than her.
Well, those standings can change depending on a rider's mood one day. So,
They can, but they're also the standings for the NXT mid card title. It's not even like they're saying Ivy Nile is good enough to compete at the top of NXT and get called up. She's still the bottom of the barrel, basically.
yeah, when her and the Creed Bros first came up, we saw a lot of them, and now they're kind of, you don't see them too often.
Yeah, I honestly kind of expected them to give the Creed brothers the tag titles at one point,
Yeah, I thought it was heading that way also.
and they went from kind of showing up and saying, "Hey, we're the top of this tag division," to not even being on TV anymore.
Yeah,
Ivy
I don't,
Nile gets her spots with Maxine Dupree now.
yeah, randomly. What an odd tag team.
Yeah, it, I don't know. I'm just saying that some of their bookings and writing don't make as much sense as they should once you take into account how strong some of these people are. Like Ivy Nile is pretty well built. She's a strong competitor, but if they're saying that half of the developmental roster is better than her, that just makes her look like she shouldn't be on that main roster or can't compete with some of the people that she is competing with.
Well, yeah, speaking of strength, too, I mean, we've all seen the workout videos. She's incredibly strong. Um, I don't know about as strong as Jade, but yeah, now that they have the titles, I'm with you. I'm wondering when they'll ever drop. I mean, it just felt like the Kabuki Warriors really had no chance to beat them, just in
Yeah,
stature and like physicality and all that.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like at this point it has to be less them being beat by someone, but them beating themselves almost. It's gonna end up in
Or
that
getting
feud everyone
cheated out
wanted.
of the
Yeah,
titles.
getting cheated or just kind of turning on each other at some point, which I think everyone wanted to see them feud with each other. So it was kind of a curveball to have them come out as the most dominant tag team.
Speaking of that, the 8-woman tag match they had the Smackdown the night before. I hated seeing Tiffany with Damage Control. It was
Yeah,
just a weird tag team to me. And then the shade that Bianca is throwing at Bailey, like, I'm not going to shake your hand. It's like she's clearly not part of Damage Control.
yeah, I do like a little bit of the fact that when someone goes from that heel to face, they're not immediately getting the love from everyone in the locker room.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the whole match just didn't make sense. They were trying to progress all of the storylines at once very quickly.
And Naomi, and I don't like competitors teaming up the night before they have to compete against each other. And then after the match at Backlash, Naomi acts like she won too. I just,
Yeah,
so
I
it's like
wouldn't.
Bailey really only beat Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, I honestly don't know that I mind them teaming, but I don't want them to team in a friendly, happy way. I want them to be forced together.
Yeah.
Like if they had done something ridiculous, like make Naomi, Tiffany, and Bailey all team against Damage Control, where the three of them are fighting each other as much as they are the other team. That even would have worked better than just throwing literally the entire women's division into one match.
Yeah. They're like, throw all our faces together, throw our heels together.
Yeah, even if they have no real history or real need for this match at all. They just wanted to get as many people in front of that French crowd as they could, even though they could have just thrown two more of them into a match the next night. They could have found a way to work more names into Backlash. They did had to do SmackDown.
All right. So that main event of Backlash, is there a part of you that really wanted AJ to win that match?
Yeah, I think so. Like that match was honestly one of the best matches I've watched in a very long time. Um,
Yeah. And I was one of those Cody crybabies, as The Rock likes to call us. But and I'm happy Cody has the title. But I was thinking about this: is AJ the most deserving wrestler on the roster for a title right now?
he's at least one of the top two, maybe three names right now. Um, I think that AJ deserves another title run while he's still in this like peak physical condition that he's in right now. And that match was honestly incredible. Like they went for longer than I expected. They got so many different spots in there. AJ looked great. Cody looked great. Um, but it almost upsets me that they put that match on so early in Cody's reign because it's not like they gave it the opportunity where it shows like AJ can do more or didn't give his all because he obviously put everything on the line for that match. And that kind of just feels like it closes him out of that title shot again.
Yeah, especially how complimentary Cody was of AJ's in ring ability. But yeah, I'm with you. It's like after he puts on that good of a match, what do you do with AJ? Do you give him another title shot to lose again? Or do we
And
see
I
him push towards the US title? I mean, I don't know.
and that's where I kind of like your booking better where AJ didn't necessarily lose because he couldn't win, he lost because of someone else. That gives him the opportunity to either right away or down the line compete for that title again and still be strong enough to make it believable that he can take it, but where he was hitting every move he has and Cody can kick out at one. Like it just doesn't make it seem believable that AJ can come back and either compete for the title or take the title.
And I don't, it's like nobody wants to be the one to take it off of Cody. How is the wrestling world going to react when that happens?
Yeah, it's got to be some. It has to be Dominic Mysterio. It has to be someone the crowd already viciously hates to take that title, so
I
that
mean, I'm
you
thinking
don't get.
about the SmackDown roster. Who can beat Cody? And I mean, I guess when Roman comes back, but everything points to him coming back as a face and involving themselves in that bloodline feud.
Yeah,
Um,
Randy Orton.
yeah, and then it's like, do you want Randy to be the one to do it?
I don't know if anyone wants him to be, but I think that
Kevin
he's the
Owens?
only.
I mean,
No.
he's a former champion.
Yeah, I just a lot of these people aren't believable to beat Cody anymore because
Yeah.
they've all lost to Roman and they've all lost to people that have lost to Cody. Unless they have someone cheat to win or someone that Cody doesn't expect to turn on him, like Randy Orton takes that title. I don't know who
Well, you should
can.
always expect Randy to turn on you.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I think it has to be. Is that it has to be someone so unexpected but believable. Like you believe Randy would turn, you believe he is strong enough to take a title if he wants to, and Cody wouldn't be expecting him to turn so quickly after being celebrated by him.
Yeah, what about something like a Brock Lesnar coming back to do
Yeah,
another feud?
that would be the only other thing would be you have to have the biggest name, the most dominant force take that title to make it seem like anyone actually can because Cody he leveled up after he got that title.
He did.
You can see from the moves he was hitting, from the fact that he only needed one crossroads to win, kicking out at one. Like he kind of took his game to another level, not in like a Super Cena way, but in a way that he knows he's a champion now. He has more confidence, he has more strength, and they're giving him a little more stamina as that champion.
Yeah, he looked great. And I mean, for how long the match was, either of them didn't seem to be worn out or exhausted. I mean, they all hit their spots. You didn't really see anything botched. Which, speaking of botched, that women's tag team match, the you're not legal thing, and nobody gets tagged, or
Yeah,
somebody does get tagged. It was like the ref botched that. I was like, then who is legal?
yeah, that whole match kind of just fell apart in the middle a little bit, and that's where I think they could have shortened that match. They could have shortened another one and just had something else on the card because that match didn't need to be as long as it was.
Yeah,
Like they could have gone half the time and given a few minutes to anything else, and it would have made the match stronger. I think.
yeah. All right, another question for you.
Yeah.
How we feeling about your boy Bronson Reed?
Uh,
One more shot at the IC title.
I I don't know why he's still in that title picture. I
Did
honestly don't.
exactly what you complained about. Got thrown into the middle of a rivalry for no reason.
Yeah. I feel like he could be good at something, but it's not this. He keeps showing up in this title picture. He keeps showing up with the same few names even in
Yeah.
these feuds, and he doesn't actually make much of an impact other than interrupting one match, and I don't think it
Yeah.
makes the
Or he
title
beats
picture
him up
stronger.
after the match, and
Yeah.
then we know he's not going to win the title. So,
Yeah, and I don't know that it elevates the title at all. I don't know that it elevates the people he's working with. He's just there.
yeah.
And like I don't hate Bronson Reed. I hate the way they're
No.
using him. I hate the way that they are booking him.
Yeah, that's a
Um
good distinction. We don't hate the
it
wrestler.
no, I just write him better. Give him a better spot. Give him the title for a month.
Yeah,
Make him
surprise us. Let him win.
like if he wins the title, maybe I'll like be like, "Wow, maybe he did deserve to be there." But right now where he's just interrupting everyone else
Yeah, he's in the
and
way of Sammy and Chad Gable getting an ending to this rivalry.
yeah, and for
I
the
guess they
last
just
year,
don't know who to fight Sammy. Like, is Gunther
yeah.
just like, no, I don't care about the IC title anymore?
Yeah, like I feel like having that long reign, he should have at least been like, "Let me have my shot back at it."
Well,
But
I don't
instead,
think
he just
anyone thinks Sammy can beat him again, which is why they
no.
haven't.
Yeah, but it goes back to the same thing where is the backlash from WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Like, this should be used to tie up those storylines that were nearing their end at WrestleMania. And instead, they just decided, oh, Gunther's going to drop the title and we're going to throw him into the world title picture or the King of the Ring picture. But it's like he never cared about his title he had for that long. He didn't care about his long reign. I know in interviews he's said, I'm really happy with my reign. Sammy was one of the two people that I think should have taken the title from me. But in character, he should be a little more angry about this. He should, like, I don't know. I'm just confused the way that they go for these long-term stories and then just let them, they just slam the book shut instead of giving you a conclusion. You don't get to read the last few chapters or pages. They just stop.
And especially someone like Gunther. I mean, I understand the world championship push. I think he has to be a favorite for King of the Ring if we're thinking
Yeah.
about it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't think they want to give him that rematch only because everyone would expect Gunther to win.
So
Which,
have Giovanni Vinci interfere and
yeah,
mess up Gunther's chance. Like, I don't know. I just feel like some of the things they do don't make sense at the end of the story. The build up is great. The feuds are good while it's happening, but they
no
don't close them out.
closure. Speaking of
Yeah.
that, is this the end of the Randy KO thing with the bloodline? Because I mean, they can technically stay together.
Yeah, I think it has to be. Like, I don't know that there's more there that they can do
So do
after the
they go
match they
for the
had.
tag titles? I mean, they have merch made for RKO. It feels like it's sticking around.
Yeah, I feel like they have to kind of just say at this point, you know what? The bloodline brought a little more than we expected. That was a brutal match. KO was like throwing up on the mat at the end of it. I don't
Yeah,
know
how
that
much
they.
of that was acting? That's like totally oversold the Samoan Spike.
Yeah, I feel like at that point they have to kind of just take a step back and be like, maybe we don't need to be involved in this anymore. Cody took their title away. Let's let them kind of figure their own shit out now. Like, no,
I
that
think
was
it's
that
a
was a
matter of what else do they do with the bloodline right now while they wait for maybe Roman to come back or Jimmy or Jay to finally do something.
yeah.
And I mean, it's like, do they feud with another faction? Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they will on Wrestling is Fiction's Raw.
They may. Before we get into our episode though, I kind of just want to talk about Monday Night Raw in general. Um Obviously it was a lot of King of the Ring. It was a lot
Mid.
of them building that event up and doing those first rounds, but I don't know that it was great television again.
Total mid. It was mid.
It
Like, why didn't Drew come back when CM Punk
yeah.
called him out?
Yeah, like they missed some opportunities there. They speaking of CM Punk, this is not where I was going to go with this, but it goes back to how ridiculous wrestling fans are on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. I've seen nothing but people saying that CM Punk's promo was awful, that they don't like what he does now, that he's not as good on the mic as they thought he was.
I didn't think that promo was particularly that good. Um, he's great on the mic, though. I really
Yeah,
think he's better when Drew is actually there.
yeah. But it's the same thing. It's CM Punk. I've seen a lot of people saying um, Cody still isn't doing well. People turning on Jay. Like, I don't understand why they want these people to have their moments, and then as soon as they get near them, they flip on them immediately. I
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what do you want Jay to do? He's in every match. He's nearly winning. I mean, he's the pop he got in France was insane.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I don't get it. It's like, and most of these wrestling fans, I feel like, are older towards our age. Less of the instant gratification generation.
yeah,
But it seems that they don't like if something doesn't happen right away, they don't know how to handle it. It's called building a
yeah.
story. That's the point of it.
Well, I don't think they're used to a lot of those stories being built in WWE. We all grew up in a much different era of WWE, and I feel like with our generation, a lot of people did all fall off of wrestling at the same time, and a lot of us are coming back to it right now. And it's a much different product, but it's not a bad product. For the most part, it is good. It's better than it used to be.
I mean,
But the
think
fans
about
are,
how special it's going to be now when Jay finally does win that
yeah.
first
Um,
solo title.
yeah, I just think it's ridiculous. Like, these are all the same people that had the big pop when CM Punk returned. And I've seen so many people being like, I wish he was not back because look what he did in AEW. Look how toxic he is. And he has been a much different person since coming back to WWE.
The AEW thing, we're not going to get into it too much, but I agree with Punk on that one. Um,
Yeah.
but I just think Punk needs to wrestle, and he can't. And I'm sure he feels that too. Like, he knows he's losing the crowd, I'm sure. Um,
Yeah. And I do think they're doing a good job of showcasing him how they can while he's hurt.
yeah.
And I think that he's been a much more present person there as well. Like, he's taking pictures with people, he's showing up at NXT, he's kind of giving a lot of pointers to the younger people. There's so many people that are of the same era as him that had issues with him that are all saying, you know what, he came back, we cleared the air, we're good now. Like, I'm glad he's here. He's having fun. He's enjoying himself now. He likes it here.
Yeah. I mean, not this promo, but the one before that with Drew and CM Punk, I think they both kind of broke character laughing at some of the stuff each other said at one point. So they seem
Yeah.
to be better.
Yeah.
But anyway, go back to your Raw rant.
Yeah. I Not to compare it, but it felt kind of like the way people talk about AEW. It was a lot of wrestling, it was a lot of in-ring talent being shown off, but I didn't care. I liked a
Yeah,
couple of the promos that were there, but
I'm
I
going to
just didn't
say
care about the show.
something weird. I don't know that my favorite part of wrestling is the actual matches. You
Yeah,
like all the stuff leading up to it and the promos and the drama.
yeah, and I don't know that I like the way they're doing King of the Ring, where it's multiple weeks of their rounds. It's the live events are going to have rounds, which usually live events aren't canon to actual
Yeah.
storyline, but they're doing a couple of the matches at live events now,
Well, it's
and they're
also
spreading
too
it
at
out.
this point it's like a tournament. It's just
Yeah, yeah. I
the
want to
bracket.
see.
Like King of the Ring is supposed to be you win a few matches in a day.
Yeah, and they're spreading it out over so many different events. And other than the occasional at the end of a different promo, someone saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to be in the King of the Ring tournament," I don't know that it matters at all. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
kind
know
of
that.
like, okay, and then what? If you win King of the Ring, now what?
Yeah, they haven't announced it as being any kind of number one contenders tournament. I know they've only done that once or twice in the history of King of the Ring, but I just don't care about it right now.
No, and
Um,
King of the Ring used to be one of my favorite back then pay per views
yeah,
because I thought it really did showcase who were the best wrestlers in WWE, not necessarily the best, mic
yeah.
guys and all that.
And I say I didn't care about it, but there is just one match that stood out, and that's Ricochet and Ilya.
Oh my God, what a match that
That was,
was.
I can't believe that was free television.
That's when I kind of didn't love the Connecticut crowd. It's like they don't deserve this match. I know that Ilya's pretty new and Ricochet is. I don't know what they're trying to do with him. Every time he gets a push, it seems like they're like, "All right, you're going to lose now." Um,
Yeah, but I feel like they really showcased Ricochet in a different way that match too. He
yeah,
he looks stronger than he has in a very long time. Ilya is new, but I feel like at least enough of the crowd knows who he is and knows how dominant he was in NXT.
I think it made sense for him to win that match.
Yeah, it definitely made sense for that, but I don't know that it made sense for Ricochet to come out as strong as he did, and it made for a great in-ring product.
It did.
That match
I
was
thought
incredible.
the main event was great. The Sheamus and Gunther fight.
Yeah, that was good. I don't think you can expect anything but good from the two of them together.
Yeah.
I know.
I wish that Sheamus fought somebody else so he could have advanced. I mean, we knew he wasn't going to beat Gunther, so
Yeah, and then the opening match though, Jay and Finn.
what are they doing with Finn
Jay,
Balor? Why are they
what are they
making him
doing with
look like
either
he
of them?
doesn't know what to do?
Yeah, Jay very obviously was going to win,
Yeah,
but did they have to have it first round against Finn again? Like,
I agree. I mean, they make Finn have this huge feud with Seth and look so strong, and since then it's been like, what?
like I don't
He
know if I'm
looks
just a
like a
bigger
fool.
I don't know if I'm just a bigger Finn Balor fan than a lot of people are, or what, or if he
I
just
think we,
doesn't want the spots anymore.
I think we both are. I'm wondering if he's going to eye that world title eventually,
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
or
Jay
I.
just lost his title shot again, and they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna put him in this King of the Ring tournament and make him look like that main event superstar again.
And then lose again.
Maybe push him all the way to the end of the tournament and then lose. And
Yeah,
I don't know what they do with Jay after this. I don't know what he believably can do in universe anymore. At
yeah,
what point do they have to give him that mid card title, or just
yeah. Do they
put him
want him
back in
to
the tag
fight
team
Sami
scene?
Zayn?
Like, or just put him back in the tag team scene. Give hell, let
I
him
don't,
go over with Cody and let him and Cody tag again, and Cody can be a double champion.
I don't want to see him a tag teamer again.
Yeah, but if they're not going to give him an actual singles push, why keep putting him in these moments?
Cause he's
Like,
got pop,
that's
man.
he does, but give him the payoff for it then.
Exactly.
But other than that, like, Raw was pretty forgettable. It's a 3 hour show. It opened up with Judgment Day being all buddy buddy and hugging in the ring before Finn gets beat down by Jay, and then it ended on another good match between Gunther and Sheamus, which sounds like it'll be their last match together.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was just kind of boring television.
A lot of wrestling.
Yeah. And that leads us into our shows. We left off after your Raw after Backlash, which means that this will be my first SmackDown after the Backlash event.
Yeah, so the SmackDown that would air May 10th. This is our May
Yeah.
10th show.
Yeah. So we ended up, my final scene at Backlash was Damian in the ring. Finn had gotten the match to end in a DQ. Damian retains his title because of the disqualification. And Damian's just kind of disgusted with Finn, disgusted with JD. We had my tag match where A-Town Down Under lost their titles to DIY. Kabuki Warriors lost their titles. And this is going to be just the first show after that. So you ready to get into it?
I'm ready, man.
Okay, and we've got a little more time to play with. I don't have a whole lot written, so I think we should kind of do match reactions, just to kind of give the listeners a little more than just our nonstop play-by-play.
I'm good with it.
Okay, so SmackDown's opening up and cuts to the crowd cheering, and the first thing that happens is DIY's music hits. They come out. They're not in their like full wrestling gear, but they're kind of ready to mess around in the ring if they have to. But they're coming out with their tag titles. They're happy. They're celebrating. They get on the mic, and the first thing they do is say, "We did it, guys. We finally got to the top. We've been fighting for months and months at this main roster since we reunited, and we finally got our tag titles, regardless of how it happened. We were the stronger team. And, whoever took out the Street Profits, whatever, that's not our problem. These are our titles. This is our show." And that's when Nick Aldis comes out. And he's like, you know what? I agree with one part of that. I don't care that the Street Profits got taken out because they're not my show. We're keeping our titles on our brand. But the problem is someone from our brand is likely the ones who took out Street Profits and gave you that title shot. And I just won't stand for that kind of behavior on my show. Like, I don't want this to happen. So the whole Final Testament is going to have some repercussions. And Nick Aldis is getting closer to the ring as he's talking. He's almost in the ring, and that's when the Final Testament comes out. Get that cool little black and white. They all come out looking angry, and Karrion Kross has his microphone. He's like, you know what? We can be those people, but that was not us. Like, don't put this on us. We didn't attack Street Profits. We had nothing to do with this. I don't like them, but it wasn't us this time. And Nick Aldis is like, you know what? Who else would do that? You guys have been feuding for months. I I don't want this to happen. This is not going to be flying on my show. We're going to have to talk about this backstage. And Final Testament kind of just gets pissed. They all get into the ring with DIY, and they're like arguing a little bit, and that's when AOP just kind of starts throwing hands with DIY. They're kind of just brawling a little bit. Security isn't coming out yet. DIY is kind of holding their own, though. They kind of just let AOP's momentum carry them and just fling them over the ropes out of the ring. So then you've got just Nick Aldis in the corner. DIY is kind of facing off with just Karrion Kross. And that's when Karrion Kross just kind of looks at Nick Aldis, gives him a finger, and he just double clotheslines both members of DIY. They start to get up, but they're a little dazed, and he just starts kind of kicking them while they're like literally kicking them while they're down. And he looks over at Nick Aldis, gets in his face, and takes his microphone, and he says, "You know what? Punish us for this then. This was us." And he gets out of the ring and walks away, and that's when Nick Aldis grabs the microphone from the ground and says, "You know what? You're not on my show anymore. You're suspended from SmackDown indefinitely." And that's where it cuts to break with DIY on the ground and Nick Aldis just fury in his eyes looking at Final Testament walking away.
A convenient excuse. No, that wasn't us.
Yeah, right?
Sounds
That wasn't
exactly
us.
like what somebody would say if they did do it.
Yeah, but they're off of SmackDown for the foreseeable future. Nick Aldis just isn't going to put up with that kind of behavior anymore.
Goodbye,
He's
Final
putting
Testament. We hardly knew you.
yeah, right? But Karrion looked pretty strong taking out both members and just not letting him back up. He was like, "I'm done with this. I'm not going to be that nice guy. I never
Yeah,
have
he
been,
looks
but I'm
pretty
definitely
strong
not going to."
normally.
Yeah. Yeah. So then that leads us into the first match of the night after the break, which is going to be the Imperium match, Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser. So Vinci comes out first. He's kind of unsure of himself at this moment because he's been with this faction for so long, and now he's fighting against them. So the two, like, he comes out to the ring, and then Ludwig Kaiser's music hits, and he's flanked by Gunther, who's just there to watch. Honestly, he wants to know what's going to happen. He wants to see who is going to be on his team after this because they kind of beat on Vinci, but Vinci said, "You know what? If I win, I get to stay. You're going to be the one who's out." So the bell rings, and honestly, Giovanni Vinci takes control early. Um, he takes Kaiser down to the ring quickly, gets him on the mat, but Ludwig Kaiser gets up, and Vinci just kind of throws him into the turnbuckle. He's hitting him with a few chops, a few European uppercuts. He's kind of just like dominating that match early. They're going back and forth after that. Kaiser's kind of getting a little bit more momentum, hitting a couple hits there. He actually goes for a drop kick out of nowhere, just kind of throw him off balance a little bit. And Ludwig Kaiser kind of just slows him down, gets the momentum back. And they're kind of just brawling back and forth until Kaiser whips him to the ropes and then just runs at him and clotheslines him over them. And they're both out of the ring at this point. And Gunther's just standing there, arms behind his back, just watching. He doesn't get involved. He doesn't get closer to them. He just watches them. And Kaiser gets up off of gets down onto the floor with him and picks Vinci up, and he's just slamming his head on the announce table repeatedly, just kind of dazing him. The ref is out there counting up to about 6, 7, and Ludwig Kaiser turns around to start walking back to the ring to break that count, and Vinci just grabs him by the leg and just like pulls him down, yanks him to the ground. And the two of them are kind of both dazed, and the ref hits that 10 count. They get double count out, And Gunther just looks at both of them on the ground and just walks away from them. No conclusion, no one really won. He just watches it happen and walks away, and just that's where it cuts there.
The disappointed dad look that he does.
Yeah, and he's like, you can tell that he expected there to be someone winning this match, and no one saw the double count out coming at all. And Gunther just walks away.
Well, I'm excited for that rivalry to continue.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little more drawn out than even I planned it to be, I think. I just
Good.
didn't want to kind of give that a ending quite yet. Um, so after that, there's a little backstage view where Ricochet goes up to Carmelo Hayes and he's like, "Hey, I'm about to go out there with Baron Corbin. We're gonna have a quick little match. Let's see if I can do better than you did against Braun Breaker last week." Just a little quick interaction before he goes out to the ring, and that leads into my next match, which is Baron Corbin, and Ricochet. And Corbin starts off the match pretty strong. He hits a back elbow and just throwing a lot of punches and strikes at Ricochet, kind of just backing him into a corner, just kind of swinging at him. Um, Ricochet gets hit with a clothesline, and he pops up pretty quick. And he goes running at the ropes and just jumps over Baron Corbin to kind of throw him off balance a little bit, and then springboards off the ropes on the other side and hits like a swinging DDT onto Baron Corbin that kind of just dazes him. He then turns around, hits a standing moonsault, and goes for a quick pin, and Baron Corbin kicks out. Ricochet is kind of a little surprised, and Baron Corbin kind of makes his way to his feet, hits a few more quick strikes, and kind of throws Ricochet off a little bit. And they're kind of just going back and forth. Baron Corbin's a little more physically dominant, so Ricochet is just kind of trying to use his speed to get around him, bounce off the ropes a little bit, and just kind of duck underneath a few swings until he does another little springboard move and hits a clothesline on Baron Corbin. Baron gets kind of up kind of quickly, so Ricochet hits a super kick, and then he just jumps up the top rope and hits a shooting star press to get a 3 count over Baron Corbin. And you can see Carmelo Hayes in the back just kind of watching one of the monitors, and he starts clapping. He's like, okay. He's got a little something there. I like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't expect Baron Corbin to lose that match.
Yeah.
Surprise there.
Yeah, I kind of went the same way that Raw actually did by accident, which is just kind of giving Ricochet a little more strength, making him look a little stronger there. I think he's better than he's being used as well, and I want him to be showcased a little more.
Well, he is fun to watch. I'll give you that.
Yeah. And we're going from that straight into another singles match, and it comes back from break, and Dragon Lee is already in the ring. Like they kind of skip his intro like they do sometimes, and this is the debut of Dijak. Dijak comes out. He just looks pissed, honestly. He comes out angry. He's not really like showboating or anything. He just goes straight into the ring and jumps in, and it cuts real quick to the entire LWO and Andrade watching on a monitor in the back as this match is going on. And Dijak just goes straight up to Dragon Lee, doesn't even wait for the bell, just punches him right in the face. Just straight punch right to the face. Dragon Lee pops up, and he starts getting chopped to the chest immediately. And Dijak just backs him into the corner, starts chopping him. He kind of falls down to a seated position against the turnbuckle, and he's just stomping on him. Dragon Lee kind of doesn't even have a chance to take a breath before Dijak just kind of leaves him laying in the corner, and he turns around and just kind of puts his hands up. He's like, yeah, look what I'm doing right here. First match in the main roster. This is me. Dragon Lee kind of recovers quicker than he thought, and he starts running at the ropes, bounces off of him, heads towards Dijak, and Dijak just fucking big boots him. Just knocks him straight to the ground again. He sees him on the ground, starts kicking him. He doesn't go for a pin. He picks him back up and choke slams him. And just kind of knocks him back to the ground. Dragon Lee's just out. And Dijak looks down at him, kind of has the thought, like, I could pin him. He doesn't. He just starts kicking him again, just kicking him in the ribs, kicking him in the ribs. And the ref is trying to kind of push him away, like, hey, okay, that's enough. Give him a second. And the Dijak just pushes the ref and just keeps kicking Dragon Lee, picks him back up, just standing, clotheslines him again. The ref gets up from the ground, just calls for the bell. He's like, no, like, we're not doing this. And Dijak just does it, so they have to call a few more officials out to pull him off of Dragon Lee. And you can see LWO in the background just like cuts to the backstage again. They're all just pissed looking at the monitor, and Dijak doesn't care. He gets pulled out of the ring and they escort him out, and finally Rey Mysterio comes out with Zelina, the rest of LWL, and they kind of help Dragon Lee off the ground. And he's kind of just out of it. You can see a little blood coming from his face, and that's where that one cuts.
Yeah, Dijak always seems to have an angry disposition anyway.
Yeah, and
Feels very on brand for him.
Yeah, and there wasn't really any reason for this. He just came out angry. He wanted to come out, show the main roster who he was. And poor Dragon Lee just happened to be his first match.
Yeah, poor Dragon Lee. Getting attacked by Carlito.
Carlito.
Yeah.
No.
And now he's attacked on your show.
Yeah. He's not having the best luck right now.
Yeah, not a great May for him.
Yeah. So then I've got one more promo to come up right here. And that's Austin Theory and his partner Grayson Waller coming out to the ring. And they both have microphones. They're not dressed to wrestle. They're just casual look. And they get in the ring, and Austin Theory just looks at Waller, and he kind of just shoves him a little. He's like, what was that? Like, you cost us those titles. And Grayson just hands up. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. That wasn't me. You didn't know that match was going to happen. I thought we were just celebrating another month of our title reign continuing. I thought we were celebrating a nice little PLE win by default. I thought we were going to be champions still. And Austin's like, you know what? No, you cost us that title. You were showboating. You didn't try to get up after we were attacked. You didn't try to help me at all. You're the reason we lost these titles. And Grayson Waller's like, no, listen. That wasn't me. I was blindsided. I think we can take those titles back, and we're gonna call out DIY. We're gonna get our titles back. I promise you this. No matter what, A-Town Down Under is getting our titles back, and we're gonna be champions again. I promise you. And Austin Theory's like, yeah, okay, let's do this then. Let's get our title shot. I don't know when. It's gonna be soon, but we are gonna be champions again. And they just leave the ring. And the next up is go ahead.
Sounds like Austin Theory doesn't believe that.
Yeah, he's you can see the whole time he's frustrated. He's like, yeah, okay, we'll win, yeah. And Grayson Waller's like, no, don't put the blame on me. Like, I did nothing wrong. I was just a casualty.
It's not that you did anything wrong, it's what you didn't do.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that takes us into Liv Morgan versus Kairi Sane. So the last spot we were at was Liv and Dakota Kai. And Liv is kind of just fighting her way through damage control because she wants that match with Bayley. She wants to be the one to get that championship match first. So she's just taking out anyone she can. So Liv and Kairi, they both get in the ring, and obviously Dakota Kai is outside the ring, Io Sky is outside the ring, but Bayley's also out there on the other side just watching. She's obviously not sitting with the announcers. She doesn't want to deal with anyone right now. She just wants to see who her competition is. And Kairi Sane gets the first hit in the match. She comes out early. She kind of just hits Liv Morgan with an elbow to the face. And she hits a drop kick followed by a couple little axe kicks to the back of Liv's back as she's trying to get up from the mat. And she just kind of just starts laughing as she's getting kicked on the ground, though. Liv is just taking these hits to the back laughing, and Kyrie's just getting mad, so she jumps on her back and she tries to put her in like a sleeper hold, and Liv just stands up and just slams her back onto her back. And Kyrie's on the ground, and Liv gets up and she just starts stomping on Kairi Sane's ribs. She's really upset. She is tired of Damage Control being in her way. She's tired of everyone being in her way, so she's just getting mad. Um, she picks up Kairi Sane and throws her into the corner, and she backs up and starts running at her, does her little like hip jump that she does, and slams into her a few times. And Kairi Sane at this point is kind of dazed, and she starts backing, like getting out of the corner towards the middle of the ring. So Liv runs at the ropes and then runs at her and hits her with like a little bulldog. And Kairi Sane's just on the mat, and she gets up and she hits another couple little forearms on Liv, trying to slow her down, and she goes running back to the ropes to kind of fling herself at her, but before she can get off the ground, Liv just jumps up and hits her with a Hurricane Rana and throws her towards the other side of the ring. And when Kairi Sane gets up, Liv goes running towards her, hits her with an Oblivion, and gets that 3 count there. Damage Control's looking a little more wary, and Bayley kind of just nods her head and walks away before anyone else can react.
Yeah, sounds like Bayley knows she's on a collision course with Liv Morgan.
Yeah, and Damage Control's kind of floundering. They didn't expect Liv to be on their show, and they didn't expect her to kind of just be as angry as she is. Like, I don't know how many people would react well to kicking someone in the back and just hearing them laugh at you.
Well, I mean, if they paid attention to the last few shows, Liv Morgan just seems angry.
Yeah, very angry. And that was the final match of SmackDown, and we just have one more thing coming up, which is the Judgment Day coming out. So they just had their main event, co-main event match, and Damian Priest comes out first, holding up his title. JD is there, Dom is there, Finn is in the back, and Finn, he's probably like 4 or 5 steps behind him. Damian gets in the ring, waits for the rest of them to get in there, and he kind of backs away from all of them and backs himself far back, and he looks at them and he's like, you know what? No. I told you I didn't want your help. I told you I didn't need your help. And I would have kept this title whether you got the disqualification or not. Like, I wasn't going to let Jay win this. I didn't need you. And JD kind of puts his hands up and he's like, whoa, man, I was out there just to be there. Like, I was just supporting you. Dom is kind of just shrugging. He's like, I literally can't do anything. I'm in a sling still. And Finn's just in the opposite corner looking down, and he looks up and he's like, you know what, Damian? I didn't do this to help you win that title. I didn't do this for you. And Damian just, excuse me? And Finn's like, no, I'm sick and tired of being in the Judgment Day. I'm sick and tired of being the joke. I'm sick and tired of all of this. I didn't go out there and interfere in that match because I wanted you to keep your title. I went out there and interfered in this match because I want to be the one to take that title from you. I want to be the one who is the one holding that gold. I want to be the leader of Judgment Day. You don't belong here anymore. You weren't supposed to be in this. This is my faction. These are my people. You didn't want JD here. He's always had my back when you haven't. You're the reason why I didn't have that title from Seth, because you were always out there with your briefcase, not just making Seth pause, but I was thrown off of my matches because you were in those big moments interrupting me. And I'm not going to stand for that anymore. Like, this is my time. I've been waiting for years. I'm taking that title from you. And that's when Damian just kind of gets up into his face, and he's like, you want my title? I dare you to try and take it. I'm the leader here. You'll be lucky if I give you that shot. And that's when JD kind of starts, he just clobbers Damian in the back. And Damian falls down in front of Finn, and Finn's just staring down at him. And Dom kind of has to choose what he's going to do in that moment. He's in his sling, but he can't do much. And he kind of looks at both of them, and he kind of just runs and with his good shoulder, like, pushes into Finn to kind of get him away from Damian. And JD's there. JD backs over with Finn. You can obviously see he's taking his side, and Dominic picks up the microphone. He's like, I don't want this faction to break up. Like, guys, we're better than this. But if you're choosing your side, I have to be with Damian. Like, he's one of the Terror Twins, and I'm not going to stand against Mommy. Damian gets up. He looks at Finn and JD. He kind of pushes Dom to the side. He's like, no, back up, man. I got this. And he gets up in Finn's face. And while he's staring at Finn, he just looks over at JD and just pushes him by the head. Kind of knocks him to the ground. And him and Finn just stare off as the camera cuts.
Poor JD can't escape the show without a head joke.
No, I don't know that he ever will. That's just kind of what he's there for now.
I think somebody called him a human Funko Pop the last show.
Yeah. Michael Cole said that he had a Klingon head.
Michael Cole is getting out of control.
Yeah. All right.
I like that ending, though. It's going to be interesting. Little Judgment Day choosing sides.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier in the show. Nice to see Finn Balor get a push.
Yeah, no, he deserves it. And that'll take us into the following Raw.
Yeah, so this is our Raw that would air on May 13th. So we've had one show after Backlash. And on last week's Raw, Cody Rhodes gave AJ another title shot. Nia Jax beat Tiffany Stratton. Bobby Lashley accused the Final Testament of attacking the Street Profits, which may or may not have had something to do with while they were suspended on SmackDown. Pretty deadly. They fought the debut of Tony D'Angelo and Stax, the family. The family wins, and they're the number one contenders to fight Awesome Truth for the championships. All right. Becky and Zoe cut a promo last week. They're going to go at it, probably at Queen of the Ring. Ilya Dragunov made his debut and won. Jade and Bianca came out and flashed their titles. They were interrupted by none other than Chelsea Green and Piper Nivens, as they tend to do. And then, Sheamus beats LA Knight, and LA Knight's kind of in the doghouse for interrupting that Backlash main event, which brings us to this coming week's Raw, May 13th. All right. Show opens. You get Solo Sikoa's music right away. Him and the Bloodline come out with Paul Heyman. Tongaloa with them as well, being that he's a new member. They walk down to the ring. Solo gets on the mic and says, "We took care of that Randy and KO problem. We still run the WWE, and now that we're here on Raw, we're going to run this show too. We're not satisfied with just beating KO and Randy. We're coming for championships." And then you see Paul Heyman in the corner with that shocked look on his face, like this is not part of the plan. And so show goes to commercial, cuts out, Bloodline leaves. We come back. Tiffany Stratton comes out. She gets on her mic. She's in her wrestling gear and says, last week I should have beaten Nia. The only reason she beat me is because she surprised me and she was stronger than I thought. And so Nia Jax comes out and interrupts it and says, if you want to see me beat you again, we can go right here, right now. And a ref comes down. Adam Pearce says, let's do it. So Nia and Tiffy are going to continue their rivalry. And this is kind of really back and forth until the end. Tiffy kind of starts to get frustrated. She can't put Nia away. She's hit some of her signatures. Nia's hitting her back. She's hard to put down. Nia finally takes control and hits her Samoan drop. And it looks like she's getting ready to put her in position for her finisher. And Tiffy kind of wisely rolls out the ring before she can. Looks under the ring apron, grabs a steel chair and kind of hides it. And when Nia goes to follow her, she just hits her right in the head with a steel chair. Ref obviously DQs her. Match is over. Tiffy gets back in the ring and hits Nia a couple more times. Sort of stands over her and holds her hands up. as if like sending a message. This is what this is going to be from now on. Um, she doesn't take well to losing, so you know,
I like the way you're building their rivalry,
yeah,
and I like that Tiffy kind of obviously loses the match, but in her heart she won.
yeah.
And
It's
I
still
think in a lot of
Tiffy
our
time.
hearts, yeah, I think in a lot of our hearts she wins.
Yeah,
Like I like the way you're building that. I know, like Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax post a lot on social media together. Like they seem like they're good friends. But I would like to kind of see that rivalry. Like it's a good, interesting matchup, and it's a good way to make Tiffy seem a lot stronger too.
and you know, I know people aren't too fond of Nia Jax, but she's a strong competitor. She's hard to
She's a
beat.
very, she's a very strong competitor, and she's been really good since she came back.
All right. Next up, L.A. Knight. His music
Yeah,
drops. He's coming out for his promo. He's going to get on the mic. He gets on the mic. He hits me with the, let me talk to you. Talks about how he doesn't care if Pierce doesn't like what he did. He always does things how he sees fit, and he'll work his way back up. He has no problem with it. Last week was just a blip. He knows he should have beat Sheamus. He got frustrated, but he said, from here on out, I'm putting myself back in the championship picture. Oddly, Lashley's music comes on, the Almighty, and he comes out and he's like, you know, you think you can just walk back into the championship picture? Why don't you try to beat me? And LA Knight says, all right, let's do it. So they have their match. Bobby kind of just dominates it. I mean, LA gets a little offense, um, gets close to hitting his elbow, but other than that, he really never builds momentum. Bobby Lashley hits a devastating spear and he ends the match. And LA Knight's kind of left in the ring like with this dazed look on his face, like he can't believe he just lost 2 weeks in a row and doesn't really know where to go from here. You know, he lost to some big guys, Sheamus and Bobby Lashley, but you know, he was building momentum, and now that all kinds of seems to be stopped, and he seems to be in trouble with Adam Pearce, so it's not going well for Mr. LA Knight.
yeah. I'm interested to see where you take his arc. I do kind of like him getting beat down before he can be built back up. I think he needs the losses, honestly. Um, in the middle of your Raw commercial break, though, we get like a little teaser for WWE, and it just a graphic of Triple H, and it says next week on SmackDown, we're getting our King of the Ring announcement for the tournaments for men and women, King and Queen of the Ring.
And when we cut back, you see Sami Zayn backstage holding his title. Um, and he walks up to LA Knight, who's back there kind of nodding his head, shaking. And Sammy's like, look, man, I've been here before. Before I won this title, I thought I was down and out. I didn't even know if I was going to be in WrestleMania. You know, keep fighting, keep your head up. It could get better from here. And Sammy walks away, and it kind of just shows LA Knight staring at him. You're not really sure what he was thinking, if he appreciated it or if he wants to be left alone. Um, Comes back to the ring. Becky Lynch's music hits. She gets her woes out. The fans do. She walks to the ring and she says, you know, I have a new competitor for this title, Zoe Stark. I faced her before. She doesn't have Trish on her side anymore. Zoe Stark comes out, says, I'm finally going to beat you and take that title from you. I've been trying for gold since I've been here. It hasn't worked out, but this is my time. And they kind of stand face to face in the ring. Cuts to commercial. Looks like that rivalry's heating up. We come back. Jade and Bianca are going to defend their titles against Chelsea and Piper. Chelsea Green complained enough to Adam Pearce to get a title shot. And, you know, you're kind of really expecting Jade and Bianca to run them over, but this doesn't happen. Chelsea and Piper kind of get to jump on them and dominate early and get a near pinfall. And you can see Jade and Bianca start to feel a little more mortal. Like they're not as good as maybe they thought. Chelsea and Piper have been together for a while. And this match goes for a while, and you could see Jade and Bianca kind of tiring out, but it takes their last ounce of strength to just squeeze out a victory. Bianca is able to hit her KOD on Chelsea, and Jade, with the last ounce of strength she had, is able to pick up Piper and kind of drop her on her back so she's not part of the cover. Bianca covers 1, 2, 3, and they retain their titles, but you can kind of see the look on their faces like, these are going to be harder to keep than we thought.
I like that you're kind of grounding them a little more. Like, we talked about it, they seem like such a dominant team, but it's nice to see them kind of not just stay superhuman. Especially because they are a newer team, and you can be as strong as anyone, but unless you have that team chemistry and you've built that up for a long time, they may not be able to hang with some of the other tag teams that have been together for months or years.
We shall find out, won't we? Might be some plans for these tag titles. Who knows? We come back. We get a promo from Tony D'Angelo and the family. They come out. They're like, we made our debut on Raw. We're already in the championship picture. You should expect more of this. We dominated NXT, and now we're here on Raw to dominate the tag division as well. And that's when Ilya Dragunov's music cuts. Everyone's like, I wonder what he's doing. He comes out, and he goes, Tony, Tony, Tony. I already beat you once at NXT for my title. I come here, I get a win, and in one match, all of a sudden you guys get a championship shot. I don't like that. And Tony is like, if you don't like it, why don't you come do something about it? And Ilya says, I'll tell you what, I'll find a tag partner, and it'll be me and him against you two tonight. Tony and Stacks accept. They're kind of just staring off, Ilya on the stage and Tony and Stacks in the ring. So that all clears out, and we are going to get a very fun promo from our friends Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. So CM Punk comes out. He makes a 5-minute and 46-second joke or whatever it is. And, kind of says, I'm almost healthy. I'll finally get my hands on Drew McIntyre, who seems to think I ruined his life. I didn't. He ruined his own life because he can't stay off social media and he can't stay out of his own way. Drew's music hits. He comes out. He's like, I can't wait till you're healthy so I can get my hands on you and finally beat you 1, 2, 3. But he's like, I just don't want to wait for that. He starts rushing down to the ring like they're about to come to blows. All of a sudden, security kind of runs down the stage, a bunch of referees kind of separating them. Drew's not really able to make it to the ring. He's fighting off security. Adam Pearce finally comes out and says, knock it off. You two will get your hands on each other, but neither of you are medically cleared. And until then, if I see either of you lay a finger on each other, you're suspended indefinitely. And so Drew and CM Punk kind of back off, and you're left with them staring at each other, and Drew kind of really chomping at the bit to get his hands on CM Punk.
Another week, and two of the injured stars are still putting on some of the best promos and some of the best segments somehow.
Yeah. All right. Now we get to our final match of the night. I guess you could call it your main event. So the family's music hits. Tony D'Angelo and Stacks are walking down. They got Adriana Rizzo with them, kind of showing a strength as a family. They get to the ring. Ilya's music hits, and he walks all the way to the bottom of the stage and kind of stops. And everyone's wondering who we found the tag with him. And then you hear that note of KO's music drops. He got Kevin Owens to tag with him, and everyone's wondering, like, why the heck is Kevin Owens with Ilya Dragunov? Which we might find out next week. Anyway, this is a real close match. Both teams doing really well. Tony and Stacks are holding their own against probably top 5 wrestler on a roster with Kevin Owens. And we saw what Ilya Dragunov can do last week against Kofi. So it's a good match. It's coming to the end, and KO finally hits his stunner, and it looks like they're about to win. Ilya gets on the top rope. He's ready to hit a top rope H-bomb to really just end it on Tony and get the cover. Next thing you know, Adriana Rizzo jumps up on the apron, kind of distracts the ref, is like, gets his attention. Out of nowhere, the fourth member of the family, Luca Crucifino, sort of pushes Ilya off the top rope, so he can't hit it. KO sees this, so he kind of runs out the ring after Luca. And then Stack sees KO running, so he goes out there and takes out KO. Ilya comes to his feet. Tony hits his forget about it finisher, which is, I think it's just a swinging like fisherman suplex kind of thing. And he gets to cover 1, 2, 3. So in 2 weeks, the family has kind of had 2 big wins.
Yeah, I like the way you're building them up, and I like the way that they're not necessarily better than Ilya and KO, but they use their family for their advantage. They take their shots, and they're making the most of their time.
Yeah, I mean, they're mafia themed. They got to use everybody.
Yeah, no, like it would be wrong not to, but I like that you're kind of showing that they have to get that win when they're a little overpowered, but they do what they need to do.
And so this is a big win for them to finally get their title shot next week on Raw when they will be the defenders against Awesome Truth. All right. Goes the commercial. Everyone's wondering, well, if that's the main event, what's next? You get Cody Rhodes' music and fog. He's getting ready to come out. Crowd goes wild. He gets his pop. Everyone's like, what's he coming out here for? He hits his, what do you want to talk about? And he starts talking about his match with AJ coming up. He goes, I didn't want LA Knight to suffer through anything, but he interrupted the match, and I hope he gets right. As far as my match goes with AJ, he pushed me to the limit the first time. I'm looking forward to a great match, but there's no way I'm going to lose this title. Solo Sikoa's music hits. Bloodline interrupts yet again. You're like, oh, here we go again. They're still after Cody. And Solo kind of says, we didn't forget about what you did to us at WrestleMania, how you won the title. We're going to come back for it just as soon as we run through the tag division. And they're in the ring talking to Cody, and it looks like they're probably about to jump him just to send a message. And out of nowhere, out of the stands, Karrion Kross pops up with AOP, and they jump into the ring and attack the Bloodline from behind. And I mean, they're beating the hell out of them. They're using chairs. They're putting them into the turnbuckles, kind of stomping them out. Cody doesn't know what's going on. He slips out of the ring, doesn't want to get hurt. And the Final Testament is just wailing on the Bloodline. And, Karrion Kross kind of says into the ring camera, he's like, this is what you get when you don't respect us. And everyone's like, what is he talking about? And so they hold all their arms up, standing over the Bloodline, and the show fades out.
I guess they decided if they're getting suspended from SmackDown, they'll just leave for Raw.
Guess they decided they're going to do whatever they want now.
Yeah, no, that's I like it because I think that they've been used very poorly, and I don't know. I think they're a better faction than they are shown to be. I think they can be a lot more dominant. They could have a lot more power and sway. They could have a lot more dominance.
Yeah, I don't think they let them talk enough on the mic. They're kind of just used. And I don't know if I've ever heard AOP talk.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
And they have this manager that's supposed to be advocating for him, and he hasn't really done anything for him either.
No, they have one of the coolest entrances together. They've got, they look like a dominant faction. They look like just people that could run through any team, any tag team, any other faction, but they basically just used them to make Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits get a little more over.
And, well, that's why we're using them differently on our shows. So Raw greatly accepts the Final Testament that you suspended.
Yeah.
Guess
Like to
they're
see where
coming
they're
to
going to
wreak
go.
havoc here.
Yeah, and that takes us into the end of our podcast this week. Went a little longer than we thought. That's okay.
Seems like we always have something extra to talk about. We won't have a PLE to talk about next week, so that'll probably
Yeah,
be quicker.
yeah. I think the weeks where we don't have PLEs, we might end up with a little bit of a shorter recap, shorter show. But no, it's fun so far. Like, it's fun writing these stories. It's fun doing the recaps and just kind of seeing what both of us come up with, because we don't fully talk about everything we're planning. Like, we'll send a couple texts talking about what we watched, and say, "Oh, I think I might do this match," but we have no idea where either of us are going with these stories, and we don't script our episodes as we're talking about them.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It really is like sitting down and watching an episode of Smackdown or Raw, and you don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I kind of just threw in that teaser because I don't think either of us mentioned it, but next week will be the start of our King of the Ring announcement and brackets and what we're going to do with that. So we've got next week to do that setup, and then the week after where we'll be doing our version of King of the Ring. Because it
Yeah,
seems like WWE is doing these PLEs very quickly back to back to back.
we did not forget about King of the Ring. We promise. We have a plan, and I think the plan is going to surprise a lot of you guys. So
Yeah.
with that being said, like our podcasts, make sure you share them, hit the subscribe button. That's the best way to get other people to hear these stories.
Yeah. Definitely share this with your friends. Tell people about it. Post it on your socials if you enjoy it. It's really the only way that we're getting out there right now. We're not paying for advertising or getting big sponsorship deals. It's just the two of us sitting here on a day off of work or an hour off of work to just talk wrestling for you guys and let you listen to this. We do it because we're having fun and enjoying it, but the more of you that get to listen to it, the better.
And we do post teasers to remind you all when it's going to come out. Like I said, subscribe, and you won't be surprised. It'll be every Thursday morning.
Yeah, but if you're not following me on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, all of them are at Darkstar Shady. That's where I post up 1 to 2 teasers each week. That's where I post other stuff other than wrestling. I post video games, trading cards. I go live playing games every now and then. But that's where you can find out what we're doing, what we're planning, hear a little snippet the day before these shows go live.
All right, y'all. Well, I guess I will sign off for my partner, Darkstar Shady, here. Thank you for listening, and we hope you come back next week.